Namo Amidabs, Namadabs.
Now we will have our English sermon by
Good morning,
Reverend
everyone.
Yamada.
Now is the season of fall. And at the beginning of the school year at our temple in Berkeley, we always ask the Dharma school kids what they did over the summer and what grade they are going into. And the kids generally are pretty excited about starting a new school year. And I was reminded what someone told me recently about a school that's only about 2 blocks away from the temple. It's called Longfellow Middle School, but decades ago, it was an all-elementary school. And this person, who's now in his 70s, was telling me that when he went to elementary school at Longfellow, there were 2 playgrounds, which the kids referred to as the big yard and the little yard. The little yard was for kindergarten through the 3rd grade, and the big yard was for everyone else, the older kids. And I can imagine that young children would really look forward to each new school year thinking, well, pretty soon I get to go to the big yard. Well, this change, of course, is the meaning of impermanence, that time doesn't stand still and that everything is constantly changing. But for many of us adults who are older, impermanence and the thought of time passing isn't so fun. Our body changes, we have new aches and pains. Some of us are dealing with illness and other negative thoughts. But yet we have to contend with this change. But often when my age group and older thinks about impermanence, it takes on a negative meaning. But that doesn't stop us from trying to stop change. For example, people try to preserve the way that they look, right? I heard about someone, an acquaintance, who was considering a facelift. And she told my friend that she was going to get some kind of surgery that kind of pulled her skin around her cheeks back like this. And that would kind of take away some wrinkles. And I'm thinking, well, if I got a facelift, I'd want to get an eyelid lift. But this person said, oh, the eyelid lift is a lot more expensive. But I know that the bottom line is no one beats Father Time. Father Time is undefeated. Yet that doesn't stop us from trying. The truth of the matter is, impermanence is neutral. Now, impermanence is one of those great laws of the universe that affects everyone. So this kind of universal law in Buddhism we call Dharma. So Dharma affects everyone, and Dharma just is. It is neither good nor bad, but it's our experience of it. It's our perception of it that judges it as good or bad. So what's key is our perception. How we think, how we feel, and how we understand. Now, I'd like to show you a picture of the Buddha and the Buddha's third eye, which I'm sure you have heard about. Here is a statue of the historical Buddha Shakyamuni. And you can see a bump in the middle of his forehead, which represents the third eye. Here's a Chinese Buddha, and once again, you can see the third eye. This is not the Buddha's third eye. It looks different, right? It looks like a real eye, and that eye is looking outward. I think this is a Hindu representation here, and I'm not sure what it means, but it does not convey the Buddhist meaning. Here is a picture of the Yamada Buddha in the Berkeley Temple. And Yamada Buddha has the third eye, which is a bump. So this bump represents the eye that is looking not outward, but inward at our selves. More specifically, inward at what's inside of our heads. We can call this act of looking inward and seeing what's in there, and seeing how we're thinking, or seeing how we're feeling, or seeing how we're perceiving, as insight, looking inward. So this is opposed to ignorance, what we don't see, or what we don't understand, or what we see but ignore. This we can call ignorance. Now, looking inward is something I think we all need to do more of, because usually we spend most of our time looking outward. For example, looking outward at our outer selves, not our inner selves. I look at my outer self and I see, well, gee, I'm starting to look old. My hair is getting white. I need an eyelid lift. Or we see what we see on the outside. I need to lose weight, or I need a new car, or I need more money, or I need a vacation, or more commonly, I need you and other people around me to change because we have a conflict. And I'm right and you're wrong, and you need to change. These are all things that are outside of ourselves. This way of thinking means that happiness and fulfillment lay outside of myself, and I need the outside world to change to conform to my desires. But everything, all of these things that I'm looking at are all pieces of the universe. And the universe is constantly changing. But as we just heard, the universe constantly changes, which is a universal truth. It's how I perceive these changes that's causing me suffering. Suffering is caused because we don't see the truth of impermanence. We ignore it, or we don't accept it, or cannot accept it. We also suffer because we are attached to this view that we have, thinking that this view is right and things outside of myself are wrong. So what needs to change are the things on the outside. Especially if we think what's going on the outside is going against what I'm thinking, and I think it's going to hurt me or be detrimental to me. We are attached to our thoughts, to the images in our mind, how we think our lives should be, to memories, to how we think the conditions of life should be, to how the people in our lives should be. The Buddha explained that the source of our suffering lies in our perception, how we think, how we view the world and ourselves. That means the source of our anger, the source of our frustration, the source of our sadness lies in what's happening up here, not what's happening on the outside world. Recently, I was talking to a friend who was a supervisor at work, and he talked about a particularly difficult employee. That employee didn't get along with a bunch of people, complaining that they were the ones causing him problems. My friend said, I can understand if a person has a problem with a coworker, maybe there's something really to look at there and to deal with. But if a person has a problem with everyone around him or her, then the problem is with that person. And I thought, well, that's actually, I think, what Buddhism is talking about. Many of us are at the age where we are caring for others who have become elderly, who have grown old. It's painful to see our loved ones change, to see their bodies become frail and weak, to help them walk, to help them eat, to help them to the bathroom. Perhaps most painful of all is seeing their memories begin to fade. It's when their thinking goes askew, when their personalities change, to see sometimes that they don't even know who we are. It's easy to get frustrated caring for these loved ones. We tell them, try to remember, don't forget this and that. Use a cane, use your walker, take your medicine. And still they don't. They don't listen. These changes too are impermanence. They follow the law of the universe. It's proof that we are children of Dharma. What we can do is to understand these changes, to accept them as they are, to let go of our attachment to our own thinking, which is based on desires, and to accept each moment as it is, to fully live in the present, to care for our loved ones as best as we can, to appreciate this precious life and our connection to each other, which means our life together as one. To me, this is the meaning of Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Thank you for listening.